Nothing to see here, folks. Just some smoke, at times yellow and black, belching out of the Suncor refinery in Adams County today. The refinery calls this an operational upset, which does not tell us at all whether or not we should be totally freaked out. South Adams County Fire says no toxic chemicals were released. That's good. The EPA says Xcel Energy was out at the refinery doing repairs when a power failure caused the issue. The color, they say, was the result of a type of clay used in the refining process. The state health department late this afternoon says it does not yet have enough information to know if the release was hazardous, but did note that as freaky looking as it was, the release was brief. I-270 was shut down for a while the issue was assessed. Are you ready to get your vote on? Ballots go out Monday, and that means that even if you don't actually vote Monday or anytime soon, you can at least plausibly tell the door-to-door political canvassers that you have voted and they should leave you alone. If we've learned anything from the Wikileaks dump of the emails related to Hillary Clinton's campaign, we've learned that if you really want to know where a politician stands on an issue, just have the Russians hack into the email of a senior campaign official. Because that's how we learned of Hillary Clinton's dream of open trade and open borders. That's how we learned that Hillary Clinton thinks it's useful to have a public position and a different private position on an issue. And it's how we learned about some funny business with an election in Colorado. Chatting with the 9 News political experts on the left, Ian Silveri, on the right, Kelly Maher. Okay, can we just stipulate, Ian, that if your knock in politics is that you'll say anything to get elected, it's bad form to have emails out there saying sometimes you just have to say anything to get elected?
Well, it wasn't exactly what was said in the email, but I get your point. At the end of the day, we have a policy where I've worked in the past where you don't send something in an email that you don't fully expect to appear on the front page of the Denver Post, right? I mean, you should have private conversations in private. At the end of the day, these emails that came out were a product of international espionage, crimes, things that could likely spark actual... I
like the way you said crimes.
Real military conflict.
While we're talking about employers, let's talk about the funny business that your employer, Progress Now, was involved in back in 2010 when Scott McInnes was the Republican frontrunner for governor in Colorado until spectacular implosion, plagiarism scandal.
Unbelievable.
And thanks to WikiLeaks, we now know where that came from.
Yes, and Huttner said to Podesta, they took credit for it. They said
back it up. Huttner used to run Progress Now, liberal group. They were the ones who planted this story about the plagiarism.
Yes.
Okay.
And told John Podesta that one of the reasons Clinton's guy, that one of the reasons that Progress Now was so valuable was because they managed to implode the Republican primary and keep their fingerprints off of it. It is really, it's too bad, frankly, that our politics has come to that. And a lot of people suspected that, but having it in writing just tells us kind of how sad and desperate the left are that they have to play in our primaries.
Everybody got one bite of the apple. It was a very small apple today, very small apple.
It doesn't remove or negate the fact
that
Scott McInnes plagiarized.
There's no more apple left.
He got paid $250,000 to plagiarize essays.
Are you really going to negate?
And then the Republicans
to the next question. Whew, feisty. That next question is about the body politic.
A few of you have asked, can Congressman Mike Coffman really do 62 push-ups like he claims in his ad? And what does that have to do with his ability to do his job? The answers would be not sure and not sure. We'll ask him next week when he appears on Next. He's not the only Republican with military experience who wants you to know not only can he make good decisions, he can lift heavy things. Senate candidate Darrell Glenn's newest ad shows him in full workout mode. Will voters buy it? Will they buy a Bowflex? Glenn and Coffman are very different guys in terms of tone. Not that kind of tone, like how they talk. But they're both making the point that they can carry the weight of office. And that, by the way, is the kind of locker room talk we like around here on Next.
We are firm believers around here that hearing opinions you disagree with is like eating your vegetables. It will help you grow up to be big and strong. That goes for the analysis and commentary we sometimes present, as well as the opinion pieces from Next viewers like Holly, who had enough with the cloud of marijuana smoke all the time at Red Rocks. You listened, then shared your views.
Dear Kyle, I have a topic I would like to mention. It is marijuana etiquette. My husband and I love to go to shows at Red Rocks, and yet it is getting to the point where we may have to abstain from enjoying this beautiful Colorado landmark.
People should respect others and not smoke when they're right next to someone.
It is no longer enjoyable to go there due to the increasing amounts of pot smoke. Yes, the venue is outside. That does not mean that there's an abundance of fresh air.
I agree. I have asthma and COPD. I cannot breathe around any kind of smoke. Smoking should be allowed in smoking areas only.
Maybe the rocks trap the air in the amphitheater, or maybe the sheer number of people smoking pot makes it impossible for Mother Nature to clear the air. Whatever it is becoming increasingly unpleasant.
Pot smoke at a concert is not news. However, I learned that it bothers some. I will be respectful of others now, and that is news.
Red Rock states that they are smoke-free, but there is absolutely no enforcement done. If you want to get high in public, please do it in a way that does not disturb others.
People have been smoking pot at Red Rocks way before it was legal. Nothing new here.
Denver police enforce the marijuana consumption laws at Red Rocks, and the quote they gave us today is epic. Quote, "We try to get people to stop." Apply that to any other policing issue and see how we would feel about that. Now, granted, somebody getting baked at a Fish show is not the end of the world, but now we at least know it's enough to end a lot of people's concert experiences. So let's keep talking about that issue or anything you're passionate about. Email next@9news.com or use the hashtag HeyNext to get our attention. Of course, the crowd at Red Rocks is just a sea of cell phone cameras, but 60 years ago, capturing your favorite artist at work was harder than just, point and click. Back then, a guy named George Kelleher Jr. was doing hard work to get great photos. Photos that stayed hidden from the world for a long time, until that nosy Steve Staker guy got involved.
Colorado's Music Hall of Fame is full of things that once belonged to music greats, but you won't recognize the name on this wall.
He didn't have no family at all, anywhere. So he was a loner. He was just and he was a shut-in.
George Kelleher Jr. was not a music great. He was an unknown with an unbelievable collection of photos.
He'd show me, oh yeah, that, and I said, and he'd explain who they were or where they came from.
John Ferreira and his wife Lisa were volunteers.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. The only people who George trusted at the end of his life. They cleaned out his house, and Lisa stumbled on these.
He had them wrapped with a grocery bag with a rubber band around them, and they were stuck under the bottom of everything else he had.
Kelleher worked backstage at the Coliseum back in the 60s, and in that time he carried his camera around.
Cowboy Copas, Patsy Cline.
Unbelievable photos that were just in a grocery bag.
The only other place they were going to end up is in a trash can. Just, I don't think anybody actually would have known the intrinsic value of what was in that little bag.
When George passed, he gave them to Lisa and John, and they knew exactly what to do with them.
The only thing I want is for you to make sure that it says that these are the photos of George Kelleher Jr. because he had nobody, he has no legacy, and this is his legacy.
A man with no family, no friends really, but one heck of a legacy.
This old loner, shut-in, ends up having a display in Colorado,
For Next
Hall of Fame, which is...
I'm Steve Staker.
That's cool.
What a story. Elvis's first show in Colorado was written up in the Rocky Mountain News. The Rocky called him a musical heretic, and a poorly paid one at that. He made $5,000 for those 2 shows. If you'd like to check out George's photos, you can see him exhibited at the Trading Post every day, 9 to 4. We want you to meet a young man named Andrew Willett. Today's a big day for him. Got out of the hospital a year after a swimming accident crushed his spine. Andrew was a star lacrosse player at East in Denver last year. Physical therapy is the sport he excels in these days with the support of his former teammates and classmates who gathered today as he came home.
Seeing that's even better than a note of encouragement. That's amazing that they could do that. That they could get the whole school out there for me.
Andrew is adjusting some dreams these days, but college remains on his list. His parents tell us he'll head off to school next semester.
You won't hear this in her campaign ads. Hillary Clinton, the candidate of the status quo. Gridlock is the new progress. But financial markets love it, and they love where the election is headed.
The market really likes divided government.
A few of our favorite things. A place in Denver pairing beer with dogs. Then, no random selfies here. Photos that actually change lives.
You know what goes well with a pale ale? A schnauzer, perhaps? Denver Dumb Friends League knows that beer and rescue animals pair well with anything. So DDFL's picked 7 local breweries, 7 beers, and is pairing them with breeds that have similar traits. The pairings will be unveiled on social media Monday. Next Thursday, DDFL's hosting an event with all those breweries and all those pets. Looking for a forever home, you can check them out at Colorado Plus.
All the best things in life, beer, dogs, and the weekend, and a fantastic looking one at that. This is what you guys care about both Saturday and Sunday. Truly nothing but sunshine. We'll have a few clouds early tomorrow morning, but after that, we are home free, and we're going to be in the 80s yet again. Another little taste of that summer sunshine, and certainly the temperatures to go along with it. In fact, right now, I know we're only halfway through the month of October, but we're now sitting at the 8th warmest October on record. It has been a toasty one for sure. You can see right now just a few high-level clouds that are just drifting into the state. That's going to be about it. No rain, no snow to speak of throughout the weekend. Tonight we're down to 52. We'll go with mostly cloudy skies, but those winds, they'll be kicking up significantly in the foothills. In fact, we could be watching wind gusts between 40 and 50 miles per hour in our foothills. A similar setup going on across the western side of the country, the Pacific Northwest getting pounded. One storm today, another one that's moving in tomorrow. This one is going to be bringing potentially some just widespread flooding out there, very heavy rains, extremely gusty winds all the way from Northern California into Washington. Back around here, it's summertime, low 80s on tap for most of eastern Colorado, maybe even looking at a 90-degree day in Lamar tomorrow afternoon, 60s up in the mountains and 80s out to the west. Planning forecast showing you the 80s for the next couple of days. And then finally, Tuesday into Wednesday, we start to cool things off. And Kyle, look at that. Maybe a little rain, maybe a little snowfall around here.
Noises about weather with Danielle Grant. Thank you. Politicians of all parties promise to break through the gridlock, disrupt the status quo. You know who loves gridlock? People who don't like change. And you know who thinks the status quo is delicious? All the people who are doing fine right now. I talked with investment advisor Bruce Allen today about the change that financial markets can believe in. Basically, no change at all. Are the markets partisan?
In a way, yes. In a way, no. What the markets are really looking forward to this year is that they are counting on currently a Clinton presidency, a very evenly divided Senate, and a Republican House. So we have divided governments, which is what we have had for 8 years now.
What would we see in the markets if the thought was that Donald Trump had a better chance to win?
Wall Street does not like uncertainty. Trump is an unknown quantity to some degree, with even people in his own party not certain where he would come down on certain issues, and so that's not perceived well.
If we do see an impact from the election sector-wise, where would we see it? What would that impact look like? 3
sectors likely, and this is also assuming that if Hillary Clinton wins and there's a 60-seat Democratic win in the Senate, which is very unlikely at this point, that would be very negative for coal especially, as well as oil, positive for renewals in solar and wind in the energy sector, and also ancillarily natural gas. In the finance sector, probably negative for some financial companies, because she's really wants to make sure that Dodd-Frank is upheld and that we maintain strict regulation about too big to fail. And also she's looking at taxing hedge funds differently.
It's so interesting because just as voters, we see politicians all the time say status quo bad, gridlock is the worst, and meanwhile, that's what people in the markets are praying for.
Wall Street loves that. They like the fact that no matter what happens with a Democratic president and a Republican Congress, that bipartisanship will rule the day, that nothing's going to get done without Republican hands and Democrat hands both working in concert to create legislation. Where one party does not have a mandate, that makes Wall Street much more comfortable at this point.
That's Bruce Allen with a very different view of a topic that we've been talking a lot about lately, politics. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
They're learning to picture their version of the American dream.
My number one dream, which is to get a house and a new car. That's it.
And we can't let a Friday around here pass without a reminder that despite what usually makes the news, life is good. Next.
There's something powerful about a photograph. A good photographer can capture history, beauty, emotion. Photojournalist Ann Herbst uses her camera to show us how one organization is using photography to change lives.
Nearly 700,000 people live in this city. Most of them, if not all of them, have a dream or two.
My dream is to...
My dream is... Another one of my dreams.
Not all of those dreams come from people who live in these big buildings. They also belong to people
You want me to open it?
who live here.
My dream is to have a house. My dream is to always have a good home.
Have a house and a new car.
The Lambeth Center is a temporary home for families.
And I am very honored to work with all of you here at the Salvation Army.
Today, it's a place where kids can hope.
Let's see.
For more.
Let's see.
Each child.
You want to be a photographer?
Is getting a camera from the organization Pictures of Hope.
How do I zoom in? Oh, right here.
For kids like Manuel Flores.
Think.
It's a way to bring dreams into focus.
I don't know how to zoom in.
Manuel and the rest of the kids.
I think you got one.
Get just a little help from a mentor.
All right.
They're capturing their goals.
Be a leader and be a mentor.
My hope is to stay safe. Help homeless kids. To be a friend.
Give back.
My hope is to be a police officer. My dream is to.
The photos will be printed on greeting cards and sold to benefit the Salvation Army, which helps kids like Manuel and his brother Melquiades.
Folks, if you have a little sibling at home, I see how you feel.
Melquiades has a pretty simple wish.
Yeah, sometimes I wish he wouldn't act like this.
But there's one wish he has for his family that's much more important to him.
I really wouldn't care of any of my dreams or my hopes, just as long as I get my number one dream, which is to get a house and a new car. That's it. That's all I want.
Even the smallest people
There we go.
deserve to dream big.
One other dream is to be
My hope is to believe in me. My hope is that this changes my life.
For next.
And we're good.
This is Ann Herbst.
And we're good. Pictures of Hope greeting cards will be unveiled November 11th. This article on 9news.com has info on how to buy those cards. Our Friday night tradition rolls on next. It's Friday and there's a lot to be happy about. Weekend's here, weather is beautiful, and next is out on the streets asking our favorite question. What's your good news?
Cut.
I am happy that I am on a walk with my good friends, enjoying this beautiful day.
It's a wonderful day. Be with my daughter and the family. We don't get to see each other. We try to see each other every couple of months one way or another.
Being with family and, I don't know.
Yeah. I've got this little guy who entertains me every single day with new tricks and new words that he learns.
I'm happy about my health and the health of my friends and family.
I have my children in school and looking forward to a wonderful weekend.
We are very happy about fall. We're really excited to check out all the trees and the changing leaves, and today is such a beautiful day to explore and just walk around.
We're just happy to be alive and breathing and having, family. That's what it's all about.
Can't help but smile, Until you open up the email. Jason Kreck writes tonight, maybe it's your pain meds, but you are so far from unbiased, I can't even listen to your Bernie or bust crap. Kay Morris writes, I think you have a Republican bias. Well, how can that be? Because the one that's down on the floor there says that I have a Bernie Sanders bias. All right, well, this will be the tiebreaker then. Kay Boyce writes, oh, Kyle Clark is the worst anchor on your station. Too bad he can't retire. I'm 32. What would I do with my life? I gotta stay here and annoy you people. And John K. writes, good show, new approach to news. You've taken me away from watching reruns of Night Court. We're up against Night Court? That's why nobody's watching. We're gonna fix this. See you next time.